Day 444 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another super quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So first of all, we'll slide across to those Russian losses, and currently Russia is sitting on 197,670 military personnel losses there, so we're getting very close to that quite hefty 200k losses tally indeed. Then we'll move across quickly to the hardware losses, so 5 tanks, 8 APVs, a whopping 15 artillery, and 2 air defense systems, one of which was a precision strike on a Pantsia S1 Russian air defense system in the Russian-controlled region of Bakhmut. So we'll move back across to the map today where, apart from the wildfires still ongoing in Siberia, which by the way is home to some of the coldest weather on Earth, in Moscow itself, so a massive fire erupted adjacent to a power plant near the Moscow city, and there's been quite a bit of trouble putting that one out so far, quite a big lot of flames. Then we'll move across to the Ukrainian map, move to the Donbass, and of course Bakhmut, where it's all been happening at recently here. You can even see from the color coding there. As the enemy lost positions on both its northern and southern flanks. So we'll zoom into some of these here, as the Ukrainian forces performed a breakthrough past Boronivka, about 2 kilometers deep to the eastern town of Berkivka. And that's just on the north, as the Russian southern flank lost some huge swaths of land also in the past couple of days. So we'll use the date map there again, and I'll show you there. So a real pushback, unfortunately, for the Russian forces, unfortunately. And Wagner boss Prigozhin continued to blame the Russian MOD for not supplying the required munitions to continue their operations in the region, as Russian north and south lines have just been crumbling there. And Russia's information space is quite odd regarding this happening. So the Russian Ministry of Defense seemed to deny it was happening. Meanwhile, Prigozhin and Russian Telegram channels and other Russian mill bloggers were pretty open about this disaster for the Russian forces. Some Russian sources even said that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is in full swing, which is actually not true at all. It was actually a case of the Russian army's own limitations and failing lines of fortifications instead. But the whole area remains very fluid right now, and very fluid situation indeed. And yeah, we all look forward to see what happens in the next coming few days or weeks. Then we'll move around on the map and take a brief look today, a bit of a shorter look at the map today, and have a look at Crimea. So a Russian Mi-28 helicopter crashed in Jankoy there just about an hour ago, in fact. No word on the cause of that one yet. Then we'll move across to some news for today, starting off with some hardware updates. So some pretty big news here actually. The UK has announced the transfer of the Shadow Storm missiles to Ukraine, which is obviously a huge deal. Now, just to put this in a bit of better context, the Shadow Storm missiles have a range of 250 kilometers or about 155 miles, and are only slightly inferior to the 185-mile range US ATACMS missiles that Ukraine hasn't yet received. So all this means that the Shadow Storm missiles are able to reach targets deep behind enemy lines, like never before. Sure, Ukraine has a few drone platforms that can reach pretty far, but they're low-tech, they're slower, smaller payload, etc. And here's a little graphic showing you just how far this missile platform can reach. And good news is they're unlikely to get shot down as well. First of all, their flight path can be augmented to avoid known air defense systems of the Russian army, but on top of that, they've got a very minimalistic cross-radar section, said to be smaller than a bird, which means they're likely to take out high-value military targets of the Russian forces, such as Russian submarines at their piers, the Sevastopol Kalabar cruise missile depots, and also a whole consortium of Russian air bases and airfields. So it's quite a big deal, to say the least. And not only that, but in other UK hardware-related news, all 28 of the UK Challenger 2 tanks have been confirmed as delivered and operating in Ukrainian brigades right now as well. So all that training as well finished some time ago. So it was a big day for in UK-Ukraine relations, that's for sure. Then just a bit of a quick funny to round it all off today, guys. So this one is of a Russian T-55 tank in the field with a Mark II or maybe a Mark III cope cone with some pretty generous engineering. Just stacked on top of one on top of the other. And it was actually a Russian military commander, Igor Gherkin, that snapped this shot, sarcastically commenting on Telegram about the marvel of Russian technology and talking about the general state of Russia's dismal army. So just a quickie bit of goodie today, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. If you haven't subscribed, I really recommend that you do. It just really helps out the channel. And yeah, thanks again. And I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.